had everything. Loyalty, love, a man who put me first at every turn, even when it hurt him. And while he was doing all that for me, I was tangled in another man's sheets, a man who never cared about me. For a rush, I mistook for happiness. And now I live with the wreckage. My name is Claire Whitmore. I'm 35 years old, divorced, isolated, and I'm the one who burned my own house down. Daniel wasn't like anyone I had dated before. He was quiet, thoughtful, soft-spoken. In college, I was always drawn to the loud ones, the confident, borderline arrogant guys who made you feel like you were lucky to be in their orbit. Daniel wasn't like that. He noticed the things no one else did, held doors, let you finish your thoughts. The first time we met, I had just spilled coffee on a stack of my resumes at a career fair. While I stood there frozen in panic, he walked over, handed me a spare folder and said, "You can borrow these sheets if you want to rewrite. No one will notice, and hey, at least now you're memorable." I smiled. That smile became something more. We went on our first date 2 weeks later. I had mentioned once in passing that I loved diners, real ones, with checkered floors and jukeboxes. He found the only 1950s themed diner in the city, showed up in a ridiculous bow tie to match the retro theme. I laughed until I had tears in my eyes. I think he fell in love right then. I didn't know it yet, but I think part of me did too. He walked me home that night. He didn't try to kiss me, just held my hand and said, "I'd really like to see you again," and waited until I closed the door. We were inseparable after that. He was studying to become a nurse. I was still figuring myself out. I had dreams of working in marketing, but no direction. He supported me in every way. Editing my essays, helping me prep for interviews, staying up late to quiz me before tests. He was always steady. Always there. When I told him I wanted to go back to school to get my master's in digital marketing, he didn't hesitate. We barely had anything in savings. We were both juggling part-time jobs and student loans. But he picked up extra shifts, took on freelance graphic design work, slept 4 hours a night just so I could study without worrying about bills. I walked in one night at 2 a.m. to find him still working on a project for a startup that barely paid him. When I asked him why, he just smiled and said, "Because you're going to do something incredible. I just want to help get you there." He paid for most of my tuition, quietly, without ever making me feel like I owed him anything. When I got my first job at a boutique agency, he celebrated like I'd won the lottery. He bought a $10 cake from the grocery store and popped a bottle of cheap champagne, invited my parents over. They already loved him by then. My dad called him son before we were even engaged. My mom used to say, "Claire, don't screw this up. Good men don't come around twice." He proposed a year later, on a weekend getaway in the mountains, just the two of us, snow outside, a fire going, and him down on one knee with a shaky voice saying, "I want to grow old with you. I want to make your dreams mine." We got married in my parents' backyard that fall. Simple, intimate. He cried during his vows. I did too. We promised each other forever, and for a while, I believed in that promise. 2 years later, Lily was born, our daughter, our light. Daniel was a better father than I could have ever dreamed. He was there for every appointment, every contraction, every second of labor. He held my hand through it all. When we brought her home, he had already painted the nursery a soft yellow. "It's the color of sunshine," he said. "She deserves to wake up in joy." He made her laugh every day, let her paint his nails, pull his hair, ride on his shoulders. Never forgot to pack her lunch. He made pancakes shaped like hearts on Valentine's Day. Took her to dance recitals, held her hand when she was scared of the dark. He was her hero, and he was mine too. So why did I cheat on him? Because I was stupid. Because I let flattery and attention make me forget who I was. Because I started believing I deserved more, when really, I already had everything. I met Mark at a digital marketing conference in Dallas. He was sharp, charming, bold, the kind of man who made you feel electrified just by looking at you. He flirted, but subtly, complimented my ideas, asked for coffee, then lunch, then dinner. At first I told Daniel about him, just as a colleague, a project partner, someone who really respected my work. Daniel smiled and said, "That's great, babe. You deserve to be recognized." I started hiding texts, deleting emails, lying about meetings. One night I told Daniel I had to fly to Chicago for a client pitch. There was no pitch, just a hotel room with Mark. The night it started, he leaned in. I hesitated. "I'm married," I whispered, but my eyes desperately wanting more. He smiled. "I'm not asking you to leave him." And that was all I needed. I kissed him back, harder, more desperate. And while we kissed, I felt myself slipping the ring off of my finger. When I came home, Daniel had made Lily and me a welcome back dinner. Candles, music, a card that read, "We missed our star." I threw up that night. Guilt, shame, but not enough to stop. Mark became a regular escape. I'd fake conferences, invent emergencies, tell Daniel I was burned out and needed a night to myself, while I met Mark in hotels. I became an expert at lying, quick alibis, deleted trails, gaslighting Daniel when he asked if I was okay. Once, my best friend Alyssa saw me kissing Mark outside a restaurant. She confronted me. I cried, told her Mark was just a mistake, that I ended it, that I loved Daniel. She looked at me in disbelief. She made me promise to stop. I didn't. I just got sneakier. Next day, I promised Daniel I'd be home early and make dinner together. Daniel's face lit up with joy. He took half the day off work for me, to be home before me. I cried when I found out. I said to myself, I'll stop seeing Mark for good. I was in his bed the same night, tangled in his sheets while Daniel texted me a picture of him and our daughter. "Made your favorite, love. Can't wait." I lied about being swamped at work and silenced my phone. Daniel started noticing. I was colder, more distracted, less present with Lily. But instead of accusing me, he tried harder. He booked a weekend trip for just the two of us. Arranged childcare, planned everything down to the detail. He brought old photos. I cried that night, overwhelmed with shame. I should have confessed, but I didn't. Then it happened. One evening, while I was in the shower, Daniel used the home computer to print Lily's school project. I had forgotten to log out of my email. Mark had sent a message, an explicit one, with photos. Daniel didn't confront me right away. He waited, watched, gathered everything. He talked to Alyssa. She broke down, told him everything she knew. He printed every message, phone logs, hotel receipts, built a timeline. Then one night, after Lily went to bed, he laid it all on the kitchen table. "Tell me the truth," he said. "How long has this been going on?" I froze, tried to lie, but he already knew. "A year," I whispered. His face. He didn't scream, didn't cry. He just stared at me like I was a stranger. I had to say something. The silence was deafening. "You never gave me the attention I needed, Daniel," I said in between sobs. "Maybe if you were more like Mark." I regretted saying it instantly. Daniel's face shifted. His eyes went from glistening to just cold. He packed a bag, said, "You can explain this to our daughter." I kept rambling between blaming him and crying uncontrollably all the while. He packed. He left. But he didn't just leave. He scorched the earth behind him. He filed for divorce the next week, hired a lawyer, went for full custody, and he won. I had to tell my parents. My mother couldn't believe her ears. She kept saying, "What have you done?" in between her sobs. My father left the house as soon as he heard. He couldn't stand to look at his own daughter. My sister blocked me, but not before mentioning how disgraced I was. I thought they'd understand. They'd pick their daughter over anyone else. But they didn't. They cut me off completely. My mother calls once a month or so just to keep in touch. They stayed close with Daniel, however. They even invited him to holidays. He brought Lily. I lost my job soon after. My firm found out. Clients pulled contracts. My name was toxic. Nobody wanted to be associated with me. Mark? He ghosted me, moved to another city. I was left with nothing. Daniel took Lily. He was fair. Let me see her 2 weekends a month, supervised. I went from mommy to someone she visited. She stopped hugging me, stopped smiling, started asking why I wasn't there anymore. I didn't have answers that wouldn't make her hate me. Daniel rebuilt, slowly, quietly. I stalk his Instagram every day, from my burner account. He met Megan, a teacher, kind, stable. Lily adored her. She started calling her Mama Meg. The last time I saw Daniel, he was picking up Lily. She showed him a drawing she made. Her, Daniel, and Megan. I wasn't in it. He barely glanced, over and forced a smile. Now I live in a tiny studio, work freelance under a fake name. No family. Sad excuse for friends. I think about Daniel every day. About the man who gave me everything, who held me when I made mistakes, who believed in me when I didn't. I think about how I should have been beside him, how I have to see someone else live the life I once had, with the man who would have given me the world and more. I miss Daniel. He promised he'd always make me feel like I mattered. He kept that promise. I didn't. And now I'll never matter to him again.